start doing your thing so I can start doing my thing. Which is, first of all, are there any questions, comments, anything you want to get off your chest this morning? And you're like, couldn't sleep last night, just waiting to get here. And no, you wouldn't do that because you could just post it in Discord. Okay.
Invite code, is that for Discord?
That's a Discord invite code for the 1200 class, okay. Computer Essentials. So if anybody wants to lurk in there and see, if anyone wants to join it, if they're not in there, some people are, some people aren't. I'll mention one and the other kind of thing, so sometimes it gets confusing. And yeah, so I just put the link there, like do what you will with it. It's a Discord invite link, so if anybody's not familiar with that, you go to Discord GG / the link kind of thing.
I can look it up.
Does anybody know what I'm talking about? How to use this code?
Yeah, well, what I do is like this. If you go down to the add a server button, and then you go to join a server, you can just copy and paste that code. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a couple ways to do it. You can go to the web and you can go to discord.gg / that invite code, and that'll prompt you to join the server as well. So, and again, if you're curious about that question, post a message. There are people here who can answer that question. Anything else? Then, okay, I made some notes to myself to try to keep myself on track. First of all, shout out, we have a hometown hero amongst us. Deb? Did I put you on the spot?
I had to remember how to unmute this. Thank you.
Okay. So, yes, Deb is our hometown hero. Come on, give it up. Let her know. Aren't you just dying to know, like, what did she do? I'm going to let you ask her in Discord, and then she can explain, and we can converse about it and know all the intricate details of her exploits. And with that, speak up. So you might have seen the post. Might have. What am I talking about? Everybody reads all the posts, keeps up with everything that's going on in here. So we all know that it can be hard to hear in the recordings, or even remotely synchronously. It can be hard to hear some people sometimes. So, when you're answering a question or asking a question or answering a question, speak up. Yeah. It also helps to sit closer, but if you sit with your okay. Then came up again this morning already. Your class schedule and banner and the final exam thing, where the blocks are overlaid. It's just terrible user experience. Terrible user design, terrible user interface, leading to a terrible experience. And so I thought, hey, we were talking about UI UX the other day, and there's a great anti-pattern on that. So we can chat more about that. Also, maybe thinking of that in Discord. Oh, yeah, you might have noticed that I created a couple forums. I don't know how many of you are familiar with forums in Discord. It's actually the first time I tried it. But anyhow, if you have any questions or whatever, post on there. But hopefully it'll help organize things. And since we do have a forum over here for SISX, where we're going to create our own app with our own user interface kind of thing like that. I guess what I was going to say was, now, as you're actually looking and paying attention to the apps and things that you use and the devices that you use, you might post something there like, examples, good and bad. For example, you're going to use an app that I created, and it's not good. It's got a lot of shortcomings to it, but it's brand new. It's beta. Actually, it's not even beta. And you're helping me test it out. So feel free to pick at it and things, and what would you change, because you through me you can change that, and we're going to make our own app or two, hopefully, kind of thing like that. So you'll have an opportunity to do that. So I'm going to come back to this in a little bit. I want to do a few other things, then I'll come back to this. And yeah, explain that more. Now, actually, maybe what I'll do in the meantime, actually, no, I think what I'll do while I'm here, I'll show you this and then I'll come back to it. So the idea is you have these code challenges. Okay? That's the grade in the course. You have to complete these code challenges. They start out really simple. They get a little harder, but not terribly complex. We can save complex stuff for other extracurricular fun stuff in here. So at any rate, I think last I checked, like 11. The heck is my thing not doing? Come on, there you go. Slower than heck. Anyhow, last time I checked, like 11 people had joined it. I got to run the numbers to see how many should have or whatever kind of like that. But anyhow, the point of it all is, if you go to joesta.com, you'll see it flashes Joe's TA momentarily, and then the screen goes blank and waits while it's loading the app. And I can talk more later about how and why, the gory details behind that. And I've got to figure out how to make it a better, longer lasting splash screen kind of thing. So so you're not wondering, like, is it dead? But anyhow, if it's not dead, then the first time you come in here, it should ask for an email address. You need to register. Okay, you need an email address, and it needs to be your Corning-CC email address. Okay, I don't accept any others right now. Or in my case, I'm going to use my Joe. No. Did everybody notice Stu in the Discord? No. Oh. One of the members here, if I get my face out of the way, is Stu. And I shouldn't spoil it. Well, I guess I'm gonna spoil it, because I'm gonna come over here and say that I'm gonna log in as stu.dent at joesta.com. All semester, this is the way I am. All semester long, you're gonna have to put up with this. But anyhow, and the first time you come in here, you have to give an email. And well, I guess if I tried to log in, it's gonna come up with what Flat calls a snack bar, a bottom bar there to say that you can't log in without a password, and you can't log in until you register. So I'll say register, and by the way, if I didn't do this and I tried to register, it's going to come up and say an email must be provided. And again, if I said me at u.com kind of thing and said register, comes up and says invalid email. Okay. But eventually you hit on your Corning email address, or in my case, again, I'm going to do the good old stu.dent at joesta.com and say, actually, register. I'll say register, but it should tell me, yep, I'm already registered. But what should happen? I don't have an easy test account to show that, but anyhow, you'll figure it out. It should be somewhat like other things you've seen a million times, but it'll email you a one-time passcode. And then you have to go to your email and get it, and then you have to put it in here, and choose a password, and then you can log in. I gotta remember now what I did. But then you should be able to come in and log in here, and you'll see I'm on the Joe's TA page. We'll talk about later on. We'll do more of the stuff. I'll show you all the stuff that goes on behind here, how we do it, and so forth. This idea of routing. But anyhow, basically, you got one button on this entire screen for continue, and the reason for that is, well, no, I'm going to say continue, and then I'm going to say get challenge. And so it'll come back. It says level 2000. That's where I chose to start. Doesn't really matter on that. But it says write a Python script to display the text, quote, hello, comma, space, world, exclamation, end quote. Oh, that's important. On the standard output device, whatever the heck that is, we'll find out. And then some bullets here to say, okay, you can only use the print built-in. If that makes any sense to you, great. If it doesn't, that's okay. It's great too, because we're going to talk about print and we're going to talk about built-ins and all this kind of stuff. Same thing down here. I'm saying no user-defined functions. And you're like, I wouldn't have put one in because I have no idea what you're talking about. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. You don't know you don't know what it means. You don't have to worry about it. And no imports. And again, you're like, what? I'm like, that's cool. Okay. But for anybody who does have some programming experience, and especially if you've ever played with Python, those things might make a little bit of sense. They're all more advanced things that we'll cover later. Okay. There's a button that's grayed out here to download sample data. And the early challenges, you'll make your own data. It's not a big deal on that. But then we'll do some searching and sorting kind of stuff where you'll need a pile of data to churn through, and I'll give you. So you'll be able to download a file with that here. Anyhow, so you always come in and see, okay, where am I at currently in the challenges kind of thing, and then you continue. It brings you back to here. And you say continue again. You're like, why am I keep clicking again and again? Well, I'll explain in a moment, I think. But basically, then you can say submit solution. Okay, and you can select a code here where you're going to go out and upload a file with your code in it. Again, hang on with that. But basically, I'm going to select this program that I have over here. This file, actually, I'll open it up. Should I spoil it? No, I just did. Open it up. And, it said it sent it. So it sent it off to my server. My server analyzed your code and said, oh, it passed. Okay. Now, what we'll do in the future, after we all get acclimated to this, is then it'll bump up to the next level. Okay. Right now, if I say continue and then I get the next challenge kind of thing, it's still on that level. So, but like I said, once we all get acclimated to this, that will bump up to the next level, and then you keep going from there. There are a couple of things that what it should do. And by the way, I'm going through all this to say what it should do. If it doesn't, let me know. That's entirely possible. Anything is possible. Like I said, you're the first ones sort of beta testing this live. But if I say submit solution, and I said, okay, I'm going to select some code. I'm just going to do the same one again because it really doesn't matter what's in that file. And it says, please think about your code and try again in 20 minutes. Okay, so you can't just keep spamming it, and you can't have, oh, Gemini, what should I put here? Kind of thing. Because if it doesn't pass, then you'll get a message there, which will be cryptic at first. But again, we're gonna learn to speak Python, and every character matters. I think I said this the other day, and I'll say it a million more times. When you're talking to the machine, it doesn't know much at all. It's like that child with very simple things that it knows, even more simple than any child. Kind of thing. But so we have to be it's very literal. We need to be very literal with it, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, it'll give you an indication of what I think is wrong with your code, or what my TA thinks is wrong with your code. And then you get a chance to fix it, but you can't just, spam one fix after another. You got to think about it. Is there any questions on that, by the way? Did that bring up a question for anybody? Yeah, it did. Everybody has the same question in their mind now. Come on, it's 2026.
I was wondering, so you said if you submit one that's wrong, it will give you an error message.
Yes.
the error message will say what it thinks is wrong with the code. Is the error message like from Python, or is it like because if you run a like in VS Code or something, it gives you a specific like a traceback or something. Is it like that, or is it
It's filtered.
okay?
So yeah, well, it depends. There's a couple of different kinds of things that can go wrong. If it causes a traceback, I filter that out and tell you what I
All right.
think you need to know out of it, kind of like that. By the way, if you're wondering what the heck a traceback is, don't worry. You will know soon. Otherwise, other times there's some things like when you look at a challenge, I will tell you, no imports are allowed in the early ones. Okay. Again, you might not know what that means. You will soon. But if you do try to import something in your code, you'll get an error message and it'll say, nope, don't do that. Not allowed. Kind of like that. The other thing that'll happen is your code is supposed to output something. And I have my code, which no guarantees it's 100%, but I have my code and I run my code, I run your code side by side, kind of thing like that. And then it'll show you, oh, okay, what it was expecting and what it got from what it was expecting, the output of my code with the code of your code. I think, how far down this rabbit hole do you want to go?
I have like 3 more questions, but I don't want to get off track. I don't want to.
We're already off track. Go ahead.
So the first one is, do you have an AI? Is that what Joe's TA is?
Aha! We're getting there. So a minute ago, when I said, "Oh, come on, everybody's got the same question, right?"
Like,
And you're like, "No," but you didn't even realize it. Yeah, you're like, "Can I use AI?"
because you said it filtered it, so I'm wondering, like, did you write the code?
I wrote the code to do that.
So you wrote the whole thing.
Yeah, no AI.
Okay. Joe's TA, like the thing that filters it. So it's all inside the website.
The web thing you see, the web thing that you're seeing here, and joesta.com is actually a domain name that is hosted on a VPS, a virtual private server. I believe it's in Texas. But yeah, I pay a few bucks a month, and they give me an IP address, and I installed a GNU Linux variant on there. Debian should be the only one, but anyhow. And yeah, I use that for doing. So I wrote all the code.
Yeah, you just answered all my questions.
Okay. I will say, as long as I'm here and I'm spewing things that, again, doesn't make sense, that's fine. I didn't write all the code, actually, technically, because I did not write the web server part of this. I'm using a program platform called Nginx. Apache, Nginx are like 2 of the top big web servers out there, web server software out there. I'll replace it with my own one of these days, but oh my gosh, that opens up a whole semester's worth of stuff right there. But anyhow, so when you type in your browser, joesta.com, it goes out to my server and gets the web pages here, essentially. So you're seeing this web interface. Every time you do something like select code or continue or whatever, the web, because I'll do this and pretend I didn't. So I just hit F12 in my browser. In most browsers, that will bring up developer tools. And so there's a console here where you can see some messages that were going back and forth, but you can inspect the code and things. And so you can see some of the interaction. You can see the code. It's JavaScript because it's in a browser. Actually, no, I take that back. Gosh, now I'm way off in the weeds. It's actually running something called WebAssembly. But the point of that is you could intercept this code and you could modify it and try to exploit my server. Okay. Now that I've said that and I've opened up that can of worms, let me say, don't do it on my server. Okay. If I detect that somebody is trying to exploit this, you will be removed from the course. Now, having said that, some of you are even into cybersecurity, and it's like we should figure out more of this stuff and do some stuff kind of things with that. So I am all for setting up things to do it, but not bugging the production stuff, because all of your other friends, students, colleagues here are dependent upon this. So yeah, that's, if it weren't for that, I would say go at it. Well, that and the fact that, like I said, I'm still developing it, so I know there's holes in it. But yeah, the big thing is everybody in this course is dependent upon this, so don't break this. But do let me know if things happen unexpected or whatever on that. And as I said, we can definitely set up some other things and play with them and break them, set up things to break, kind of thing like that.
I have a question,
Yes.
and please bear with me. So I opened up my PowerShell and entered in Python, and it brings me to the store because apparently I don't have Python. Am I supposed to install Python install manager? Because that's what it took me right to.
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes.
Okay, I will do that then. Thank you.
Well, yeah, what could go wrong? Well,
I did it like that
we'll
too
sort.
before.
Yeah, I haven't done it, and I'll show you. You don't have to go through the Microsoft Store. I typically don't, kind of thing like that, but you can, and it should work fine. And if it doesn't, we'll fix it. We'll make it work. But yeah, if you're on an Apple, like a Mac, or if you're on a GNU Linux, Python will probably automatically be there. They just include it automatically. I don't know why Windows doesn't. They should, like everybody else, but they don't. But that's what they've got the store for, kind of like that. So yeah, give it a shot. I'm actually gonna get back to some Python stuff in a few minutes. And like I said, then if I'm doing something and it doesn't work for you, by all means, let me know. What I did want to kind of say, finishing up here, is AI. Yes. Can I use AI? I enjoy this. What would you do if I said no? Come on, be honest.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's your pretty good answer.
If I were you and an instructor told me, no, you can't use it, don't use it, it's terrible, it hallucinates, and all this other crap that people say, okay, first thing I'd do, use it. Okay.
It can be a learning tool.
Okay, so now we're getting, so I am not going to try to dictate what you can and can't do. Okay, it's silly. That's like all the stuff when you take a math class or something, they lock down your browser during a quiz. There's ways around all that stuff. Yeah. So it only keeps out the honest people. Okay. Anyhow, my stance with AI is it is a fantastic learning tool. I use it to learn, and I can learn a lot more, a lot faster now with AI than I used to be able to with just simple Google search. So why wouldn't I? Now, as I said, I don't use it to write code for me. Okay, and I would recommend that you don't either. Although use it to write some code and then analyze the code, that's fine. To learn from it. So, can you go through all these solutions and can you pass the class and get an A in it by using AI? Yeah.
What do you get from that?
What's that?
What do you get from
But that's just it. What have you gotten from it? Well, an A, I guess, a grade on your transcript, some GPA points, kind of thing like that. But I don't think that's really why you're here. Kind of thing. And again, I'm not a policeman. There's a reason why I did not go into law enforcement. I take a stance, hey, we're all adults. We've all got our motives. We've all got our lives and all the chaotic and crazy things going on in it. But I encourage you, use AI, but use it to learn. Use it to. Okay, cool. I like play with this, try this stuff like this. And I'll come back to it more um, in a bit. But what I wanted to do first was to say that oh, we got a message over here. What's going on? Oh, that's a I'll check my DMs later. I try not to do that in class. Oh, that's good for everybody. No, yeah. If you DM me, I will treat that as something private, kind of like that. So I don't try. I try not to check them when I'm online, kind of thing like that when I'm streaming. But the other thing I would say with that too is I would encourage you to use DMs sparingly, direct messages. Um, because whatever question you have, somebody else probably has it or can benefit from the exchange. So post as much, unless it is something really personal, post it right in the server. But that is the direct messages are always an option. Where am I? Quiz. Oh yeah. So back there in Joe's TA when I said, oh, you have to click continue a couple times and it seems kind of redundant and so forth. That's because I have other plans, other things to incorporate into there. I just have not had time to do it yet. Some kind of quizzing thing being part of that, and that's where I think it would be cool if we together sort of developed a quizzing app. It's a great experience because you all know about quizzes, right? You've taken quizzes many, many times, but now you have to think about the details. What is a quiz? What goes into a quiz? What goes into making a quiz? What goes into delivering the quiz? What goes into grading the quiz? Okay, and I don't want to spoil it any more than that, so we can chat about that in there. Oh, cybersecurity poll. I don't think we did this the other day, but somebody should create a poll in Discord. And by the way, when I said I left the poll one channel, I moved some messages around. I left the channel for polls. I called it polls. It was something else kind of that. Cybersecurity. So yeah, how many people are interested in cybersecurity? So make a poll. Somebody make a poll for that kind of thing. But yeah, I think it'd be good for all of us to see like how many people are maybe in the program or how many people are just interested in it. What do you figure out that poll? The other one is somebody make a coding poll. Like, what is your coding background experience? Little, I don't know, none, little, and a lot kind of thing, or something like that. You figure out what. Yeah. But I think again, it'll be insightful to see who's kind of done what around here. Okay. Then computer, and there was a discussion in Discord where, to my way of thinking, in my mind, we've all agreed now on what a computer is, a definition for a computer. Quiz. Oh, this would be a quiz. Is an abacus a computer?
What?
An abacus. The frame with the beads, the strings and the beads, and you move the beads back and forth. No? Oh, okay. I can do this.
I would say no.
I don't know why I closed it. Abacus. Where's my image? Yeah, there we go. Is everybody like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I know what that was. Okay, I've seen a lot of heads moving vertically, so I'm gonna think that. And again, if you're not, post in Discord or something, we can chat about. Okay, so you recognize the image. Can anybody use one?
I think I could
Everybody
use
can.
it to a very
It's
degree.
It's like M&M's on the table. You're counting.
Yeah.
Essentially. I mean, there are some rules and patterns to it, because people do some fairly complex math with it. So that makes me think we should figure out how they work, and then make an app. Teach Python, teach the computer how to use an abacus. So we don't have to anymore. But we have to figure that out. Anyhow, so back to the question at hand, is the abacus a computer?
No.
No. Why not?
There's no electricity.
Oh, oh, does a
Not a
computer,
screen.
what's that?
It doesn't have a screen.
Does a computer have to have electricity?
No.
No. In fact, the early computers were mechanical devices. Everybody's familiar with Jacquard's loom kind of thing, which was one of the early device that was called a computer. It was a loom. It was for weaving, kind of thing like that. But Jacquard created a system where you could program, kind of thing. Yeah, there's no LCD display here, but that's what the beads are for. That's what the frame and the bead. That's the display. That's the output device, and you can move the beads around. That's the input thing, but it can't move the beads itself.
It's manual.
Yeah, it requires a person or maybe a robotic arm, something, to move the beads around according to the rules, the patterns, and then interpret the colors and the positions to be the result, the numerical result. So I'd say no, it is not a computer, because to be a computer, it has to be able to take some input, process it according to a memorized program. That's the key, and then produce some output. So again, it's in the Discord there someplace. We had that discussion. Maybe we should. I don't know if I can find it right offhand or not. Probably not. So you can search for it. We can continue that discussion there. But yeah, there has to be a memory. Oh yeah, because I think I remember making a fill in the blanks. Okay, I'm pretty sure for that, because if you're going to have a memorized program, what three things do you have to actually make this statement real, to make it work, to make it true? I think there are three things implied in there. I'm going to leave it for the Discord discussion on that. Okay, operating system. Program. It's a program, first of all. A program or a collection of programs. Okay, it's like any others. That allow multiple other programs to use the hardware, to use the devices. Okay, that's my first simple definition. We will probably talk more about that and go into more depth. Proprietary versus open source. Do those terms mean anything to anybody? Heard, yeah, okay. So they're methodologies, they're ways of thinking, paradigms for developing software. And so Microsoft Windows, Microsoft Office, those kinds of software, and even most of the software on your Mac is proprietary, meaning the developers consider the code, the actual instructions that were written, to be of great value and must protect it at all costs. That's why you have to have like license codes and activation codes and all this other crap to make sure that you paid for these valuable instructions. But there's a whole nother way of thinking whereby you're like, you know what? If anybody learns the language, they can write the instructions. Okay? That's not the valuable part. The valuable part is the idea. What are you going to write? So imagine you're at the end of the semester here. You've learned how to teach the computer to do things in Python. And you know the kinds of things that a computer, what would you do? What would you teach it? What kind of app would you create? The mother of all apps, the one that just does everything, AI, I don't know.
Figuring out like what assignments are due without going to break space.
I'm sorry, say it again. I didn't.
Like it tells you what assignments are due without checking break space.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Yeah. So a lot of times it comes down to what would make our life easier. But
all of the extra, apps that I connect to the break space as well, because they have third-party apps that they use.
yeah, And like that horrible schedule thing, let's make something that's better on that. So that's cool. Usually when I ask that question, I get the blank stares. I get the like, I have no idea. And that's just goes to point out that it's the ideas that are really valuable. Some ideas stink, some go viral. So anyhow, in the open source community, we believe that it's the ideas that are valuable. The code, here, take it, do what you want with it. Yeah, and we'll talk more about these things as we go along. I'm just going to ask, is anyone familiar with GitHub?
Yes.
Yes.
I should have asked, is anybody familiar with Git?
Yeah. Actually, just
I
yesterday.
recognize that Git is not just GitHub.
They're two very different things. Yes. So GitHub is a hosting service for Git repositories. Now it's big and there's a ton of stuff out there. So go to github.com kind of thing, sometime like that. We'll go there. But as I said, it's a hosting service for Git repository. Git is a version control software. Okay. And the software that we control, the versions of, is called a repository in Git speak. Okay. It's the same thing of as a folder or a directory. Oh, by the way, what's the difference between a folder and a directory?
Like a directory is like a place for like folders, and like a place for where folders can be stored in like a large area. Where like that's actually really hard.
I love that.
Say there's no difference.
Yeah, you're talking yourself out of it. There's no difference, really.
Okay.
They're synonyms. Directory is the old school term.
Okay.
Before we had GUIs, when we were just in our CLI environments, and we didn't have GUIs with little yellow manila icon folder looking things on it, we called them directories. And so a lot of people still do. But now, hence with the GUI, we have those icons, and so we call them folders. Okay. I'll use them interchangeably. Okay. And basically then Git, a repository, is a version control folder. A folder or directory that has this version control applied to it, which again, we will do before long. Okay. Instructions. So I wanted to point out here that there's that question, what does the computer actually know? Trick question. The answer is nothing. The computer does not know anything. Now I'm crossing into the 1200 territory here, where we're going to prove to ourselves that it doesn't know anything. It's a mechanical or electrical device. So it works on either, gears, levers, wheels, and pulleys, or electricity. Two different states, binary. And so it processes, it operates according to states of electricity, voltage or current, kind of thing, in that, with two different values. And that's it. Everything else is how we interpret that happening. So there are some very basic building blocks, instructions that a microprocessor, and I'll use the terms right now, microprocessor and CPU, central processing unit, sort of interchangeably. Okay? Or I might just call it a processor. So for now, I'm using all those terms interchangeably. But the processor, when it's made, is made with certain very small, simple instructions that just manipulate data. All right. Somebody posted a message. We can talk about RISC versus CISC, for example. RISC versus CISC. Reduced instruction set computing versus complex instruction set computing. But I'm not going to do that right now because my gosh, the time goes so fast. Okay, and yeah, so all that stuff is kind of where 1200 covers, and then we bleed into the 1240 stuff here, where we start talking about higher level languages. So if you were programming, and you can program in those very simple instruction patterns for the building of the processor, we would call it machine language. And that is terribly tedious because you're just dealing with patterns of bits. And which I know that doesn't make much sense either yet, but it will. So then what we do is we create mnemonics, words for certain patterns, and we refer to that as assembly language. Very tedious, very tedious. So then we develop higher level languages, where now one instruction in a higher level language will be translated into multiple assembly machine level instructions. Okay, so it makes our life a lot easier. Where do I want to go with this? CLI. We talked about that a little bit. Call it a terminal, call it a shell, whatever on that. But it's a program, like any other program. So there's nothing magic about it. It's a program that allows us to interact with the computer via some instructions. Somebody had to write the CLI. They chose what they wanted the instructions to be, kind of thing. And then we learn those and use those, and that's where PowerShell comes in. PowerShell is a CLI. GUI, which we'll talk about later. The operating system for the moment. We just need to know that it manages the resources for users and for other programs. So, you've got your CPU, and it may have multiple cores. These days they probably do, kind of thing. You've got your memory. You've got some I/O devices like mouse, keyboard, internet, network connection, kind of thing like that. We have file systems, and then processes. And so a process is instructions to the computer, to the machine, to the CPU, that have been loaded into memory so they can run. What that means here is you can save a program on your hard drive or on a flash drive or on the network or whatever. The processor cannot run those instructions directly. It can only execute instructions from memory. So when you double click a program or something to start it, or swipe on it, or click on it, or tap on it, or whatever, what it's doing is it's loading that data from a storage device into memory and then running them. Again, bear with me. We'll see this a million times. It all makes sense. And so then the operating system keeps track of it with a unique identifier called a PID. It keeps track of, since we can run multiple processes, multiple programs at the same time, seemingly at the same time, it keeps track of whether those instructions are being loaded into memory, whether they're ready to run, whether they're actually running, or whether they're waiting, or whether they're terminating. Basically, we have these states for a process. Right now I have, blah, blah, blah. Some other stuff there. Feel free. I'll post this, and then we can chat more about some of these details. But it is going to be important, maybe not right at the moment, but we have this thing called an environment. You might have heard the term environment variables. Basically, it's a small amount of memory that each process gets. So when the operating system creates a process, because you double-clicked on something or whatever, some program, you're running some program, it creates a process, and each process gets a small chunk of memory. We refer to it as the environment, and we can store keys with values. Okay, you think of it, we want to refer to them as environment variables. I do need to elaborate on what the heck is a variable. From this moment forward, 3 things will come to mind when you hear the word variable. Any guesses? Have you ever seen a variable before?
All the time.
All the time, yeah.
Probably like a word that you like for like an execution, like in Python, your variable to like do something.
Okay. I mean, I'm not again, you'll get used to it, but I'm always like, what's the general meaning? What's the everyday meaning for not necessarily just Python? Because, I should point that out. While we will be learning and using Python in here, this is problem solving. It's not Python 101. I use Python to be representative of lots of languages. So the things that we're going to learn in here apply to C, C++, Java, Lua, all kinds of other languages besides just Python. I have to choose one to use an example. I choose Python because it's the most popular these days. And why is it so popular? Because, is it better than all the others out there?
It's just applicable, and it's probably one of the easier ones compared to JavaScript.
Yeah, someplace down here, I'm going to talk about modules and libraries and things. And Python has a tremendous number of libraries, code that people have already written that you can use, that you can import and use into your code. So it just makes a lot of things a lot easier. And the fact that it's interpreted. So there's a few things like that why it's become probably the most popular language that people use. Cool. Okay, fine. I don't care. Anyway. Gosh, where was I going with that? Variables. Yeah, thank you. 3 things. So, a name. That's when you said a word kind of thing. Yeah, a variable has a name. Okay. X. If you're in your numbers classes,
X plus B or so.
yes, mx plus b, slope of a line kind of thing like that. You want to say, okay, because why m? What does the letter m have to do with anything? It's a slope.
Yeah.
X, y, b, the intercept. Those are all variables. So we in math. Oh, this is good. In math, mathematicians like to use single letters. M, X, because it's easy, it's fast, especially if you're on a whiteboard or a chalkboard or something like that kind of thing. Also, the fact that any given problem is not very big. I know I'm going to get pushback on that, and I deserve it. But you tend not to have a lot of variables in any given problem. But for us, we're going to have hundreds, if not thousands or millions of variables. We're going to have a lot of them. Certainly, maybe not the first couple programs we write, but eventually we will probably pretty quickly have more than 26 variables.
Wow.
They pile up fast. They add up fast. They're free. Memory. But yeah, so the other thing, our problems tend to be bigger, more complex. Bigger. I'll go with bigger. Our problems tend to be bigger. So we have lots of variables, and we want them to be readable to us and to other people like that. So we will use more than one letter. If you have single letter variable names, I will yell at you. I'm not going to take off points or anything because, style. I will not impose style on anybody, but I will say what most people, or at least myself, considers to be good style and bad style. And readability is key. I'll emphasize that a lot too on that. So variables, a name. Why the name? Why have a variable? Because it represents some value. Okay. So there's a name and a value. Those are the 2 things that you're used to. X is equivalent to 3. Okay, great. What you never had to worry about in your numbers classes was anything other than numbers. So all the values were kinds or types of numbers. We get to expand that idea and say, every variable has a type. It's the type of the value that it has. It doesn't have to be just a number. We can have values for variables that are words, letters, pictures, sounds, all kinds of things, and collections of variables. So, name, value, and type. Those are the key things when you hear a variable that we want to think of. Why did I get there? Yeah, I don't remember exactly how I got there, but anyhow, what I will say is back here when I was talking about the processes, and we've got our CLI, and we did talk about this the other CLI. There's a prompt to let you know it's ready and waiting. The first non-space character you type in or some kind of command that depends on which CLI you're using, kind of thing like that. And then I didn't get a chance to elaborate on options and switches and parameters and stuff, but we will. Okay, but I will also say then that every process, in addition to having an environment, has a notion of what we call a standard input device, a standard output device, and a standard error device. Okay? These are the defaults for that. Because remember, we said the computer takes input, processes it according to a memorized program, and spits some output. Okay, so the standard input device is where the input's going to come from by default, and that is generally your keyboard. Okay? We can redirect data from other places in there, but the default device for standard in is the keyboard. What do you suppose the standard output device is by default? Your screen. Yeah, so that's where output goes. Yeah. And then there's a standard error device, which I'll elaborate on more later. We don't really have to worry about that too much. It goes all the way back to the early days of computing. And we can differentiate output between what's desired output and what's error output. You used to have these things called line printers, and that'd be the standard error device. Okay. Dang, I did not get to actually open up PowerShell. Oh, but I will say this, especially since everybody's still sitting here. When you install Python, you will almost undoubtedly get something called idle. Gosh. I mean, from idle, IDLE. It's a pun, like everything out in here. Okay, but essentially, it's a very basic IDE. Really? You're okay with that? You don't have any question? Like, what the heck is an IDE?
Yeah, I know. IDE is.
Isn't that like a place for the terminal for the Python? Isn't that what an IDE is?
Again, IDE is not a Python thing. You have IDEs for all kinds of languages and so forth. It's an integrated development environment.
Okay.
What does integrated mean? What does develop mean? What does environment mean? We should talk about all these things. Again, throw them in Discord and like that. Okay, but essentially, if you are developing software, you need an editor. You need something so you can type characters in
Like
from the keyboard and say,
with Notepad plus.
yes.
Okay.
Yep. I, by the way, for what it's worth, I happen to use Sublime Text.
Sounds pretty good.
Sublime Text is free, but you have to if you don't pay for it, you have to put up with the annoying every like 10 saves or something. It says, hey, you could spend money on me. And you don't have to for this class. Notepad++ is another pretty good editor. The big thing we need in an editor are line numbers. So the good old Notepad that came with Windows, or WordPad, yeah, they don't, at least unless they've upgraded, they don't have line numbers, and line numbers are very valuable. Sure.
Okay, that's what I think.
You can use Notepad for all of your coding.
Okay, yeah, I'm probably gonna do that something else.
It's going to be terribly tedious, but yeah.
I like VS Code personally.
And yes, Pedro mentioned VS Code earlier, which is an IDE. In fact, actually, Notepad++ is growing, and now it has features, extra features in it, and so forth. So, okay, here's the thing: for if you're going to be developing, you need an editor. You need a CLI to manipulate files. So you need to be able to run files. You also want to be able to debug them, so you want to be able to run them in a controlled manner. You probably want your version control things. And so these are all separate tools, pieces, programs, and an IDE integrates them into one. Okay. The problem is there's a bunch of IDEs out there. Okay, ton of them out there. And you just have to learn the IDE. Like, oh, okay, where does it think this is? Where does it think that is? Kind of like that. I don't want to do that. So I use all the tools separately. And I will use all the tools separately. Like I said, I've got Sublime Text for my editor over here. I bring up PowerShell. instead of having a console in the IDE, and some things like this. We'll set up virtual environments and stuff. You are welcome to do however you want.
Okay.
Okay. Again, this is kind of, I'm not going to impose it upon you, but I feel very strongly that everybody should at least be aware that these are all separate pieces, and you can pick and choose the pieces you want, or you can go get something where somebody has chosen the pieces.
So can you just complete the challenge?
What's that?
The 2000 challenge on the Joe Esther? Because I missed a little bit of class.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
I submitted it. Are you able to check if mine is all good?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
And I will. I'll try. I know it's the end of class again. You're going to want to have a folder someplace where you can save stuff. And again, I'm not going to dictate this on you. You can put it where you want. I just happen to create a folder called CSCS1240F26 on the root of my hard drive for this course, so I can play with here. You're going to need to be able to create files. No. And all of our code is plain text,
So it's just something like
actually. So if you use Notepad or something like that and say, but I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say, give me a new text document. Okay. And what I'm going to do though is I'm going to change the extension. Oh, which Windows does not show file name extensions out of the box. Post a message if you have a question on that. Somebody make sense on that. You have to turn it on. But I want to change the file name extension from TXT to Pi for Python. We'll talk about file name extensions and associations, all stuff that we need to get to. Go, run, get out of here. Do I want to change? Yes. Okay.
I know how to do that.
What's that?
I know what you're doing.
Oh, cool. Then you can explain it to people in Discord, this whole file name extension associations kind of thing.
I used to run Minecraft servers that way.
Oh, okay.
So I
All of
used
this
to run.
stuff is important for Minecraft.
Yes, you
It's
need
a-
that. You need like,
Now we're getting down to business.
so just do the 2000 challenge.
Yeah, so I'll cat's out of the bag. I mean, it's after class, okay. But what you want to do is type in print in a set of parentheses, and then quote inside quotes inside the parentheses. Type whatever I told you to type, like hello, hello space world. Probably, I think I did an exclamation. All those characters matter, and the spelling matters on that. Okay, there you go. There's your first Python program.
All right.
I'm going to save that, and now you can test it out. So I'm going to say, okay, CD/CSCS1240. Again, this is CLI stuff. I've got some videos out there, but we need to get familiar being able to work around in a command line environment. But I've changed directory, the command CD there to change directory to my directory. So if I do like an ls here, short for list, it's going to list the contents of this directory, the contents of this folder. And there is my new text document.py. So I can say py, new text document. Oh, thank you, PowerShell. Maybe, I don't know, there. And basically, it did exactly what we told it to do. It printed those characters to the standard output device, the screen.
That's it.
No, that's like the tip of the iceberg. But because when I said thank you PowerShell, or maybe I didn't want to thank, spaces and file names.
Yes.
Remember, the command line interpreter parses your command line up by spaces.
Yes.
So if you have a space and a name, we have to quote it, and that's why it automatically put the quotes around here.
Thankfully.
Yeah, because what I wanted it to do was to not do that. And so that if I came in here and I said, okay, Pi, new text document, it would come back and say, what the heck are you talking about? I can't open new. It's not a file. It doesn't exist. There was no file new. Yeah. And then the error number here, and no such file or directory is the error message. And that's a huge part of this too, is getting used to reading error messages.
So what would you want us to work on today? Is it just kind of like mess with Python and then understand the script?
Yeah. I guess probably the most important thing is see if you can log in.
Okay.
Register for joesta.com, log into that, see if we can get everybody there, and then I'll turn the rest of them loose, kind of thing like that. The other thing is, and I will post this, but all that stuff I said,
Yes.
does it all make sense?
Yes. I
Really?
did cybersecurity. I did a high school class with it.
Okay.
I do all this.
Okay. Maybe. And again, this is typically, but I would say, okay, if that's true for you, great. Okay,
I was supposed
I'm
to
assuming
do
for
that.
most people, a
No.
lot of this stuff is going to be kind of foreign.
Yeah, I was gonna say
and
that's a big no for me.
Thank you. So ask questions,
Okay.
play with it. I mean, you don't really,
I
yeah.
understand enough of it.
Ask questions for now.
Okay.
We'll quickly get to the point where you can actually have things to play with and try things and so forth like that. I mean, if you can now, great. If you can't, that's
I
fine.
looked it up
Like
and I
that.
probably will understand.
Okay. And then you can help explain to other
Yes.
people, because as Deb was saying, yeah,
Yes.
and she's not the only one. There are probably more people in here who don't know what the heck this stuff is than do.
It's just
I,
getting more
I
specific.
guarantee it.
Yes.
So, and a lot of us is terminology so that we can talk and use the right words at the right time to
Yes.
mean the right things, and we can know what each other mean by using these words, kind of like that. So, and that's where AI can help.
Yeah.
You know, if I said something and it didn't make sense or whatever, or you weren't even sure or whatever, you go ask AI. Ask AI what a computer is and see what it comes back with.
My class went over TCP, UDP, and all that sort of thing.
Okay.
So that's what I did. But I did it for like a year, and then I started. It was in high school, but I only did a year of that class. But it was really fun while it lasted. So it was.
Well.
You gotta know all that sort of thing, and actually messing with CD, and then like making folders and all that sort of stuff. It was fun.
Well, we're going to do more of that. So
Okay.
you're going to have more fun.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you, Joe.
Sure. Have a good
Have
day.
a good day.
Deb, you're still here.
I am.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm in my element here. I love this stuff. So, you know.
It's very interesting. It's very logical, and that's the way my brain works. So that's great.
Yes. Yes.
It's just a matter of getting used to the terminology and understanding what it all means to be able to.
That's it.
tell
That's the
apart.
biggest part of it. Yeah. You will do fine, because yes, if you think logically, if you like things that make sense, logic, you know, you learn the patterns and
Yes.
apply them, kind of thing. That's what this is all about. But then the other big part of it is the terminology. So
Yes.
we'll keep using it. That's how you learn.
Mhm. The chat groups are just absolutely phenomenal as far as, and it's great that so many, and I can't see the classroom, so I'm assuming that it's a bunch of just high schoolers, but I have no idea. So it's great to hear that it's fun to hear. I learned all of this in Minecraft and that kind of stuff, because it's like, oh, no kid.
I would
But,
say yes. What's that?
No, go ahead.
I would say, yeah, the majority of the people here in the classroom are younger, but not all of them. Okay, there's one or
Okay.
two that aren't strictly right out of high school, kind of like that. I also find it interesting. It's kind of ebbed and flowed over the years, but like you notice when I was asking about, I don't know, even the abacus and things like that, people didn't really know. And despite all this technology we have with Python and GUIs and IDEs and things like that, it seems like even the young people know less about it these days.
Yeah, it's funny because I was gonna say, no, there's one on my floor at home right now for my 5-year-old, because we have an abacus for that
Yeah.
purpose. And it was interesting that it showed the multiple versions, including the ones that the adults can actually use. With like the middle 5 and 6 to make it easy and user friendly, and so you can do it real quick. But yeah, it was interesting to hear that. And I'm over here giggling and with my mute on. But
Cool.
so
Well,
it's interesting. It's like the giant spectrum of people.
I would say like 5 to 10 years ago,
Mhm.
everybody would have played with this stuff. coming to a class like this,
Yeah.
introductory class, and everybody would have played with it to some degree.
Mhm.
But now we're in a point where it seems like most people just haven't. It's so.
Yeah, the one on the floor is actually from my eldest, who's now 24. So, yeah. So it's a couple years old. And still looks brand new because they used to be made to last, and they're great tools.
Oh gosh, yes. Don't get me started on that. How things used to be made to last, and anymore they don't. Everything's
On
disposable.
purpose.
And yeah, planned obsolescence. Yeah, great.
Yes.
Um, uh,
So I did download Python. Let me go back to that.
did you get it
And
to
then
work?
when I open it, so it says, do I want to add commands directory to my path? And that I don't know what commands directory is and why it should be on my path or not be.
Okay. The short answer to that is yes, do that. Back here someplace, I quickly mentioned this environment thing in these environment variables with these key value pair. That's what it's talking about.
Okay.
Now,
Well, it's going to
because
store it's kind of like an easier.
who cares from there? Well, we will care, but
So is that like where it automatically put those parentheses in so that it would catch all of what you were asking for? It's kind of a help out like that.
um, not exactly. Uh, so I don't know. No, I don't think I got to talking about file system. Well, we mentioned directories and folders, right?
Mm-hmm.
You feeling good about that?
Yeah, you're talking old school. I understand directories and folders.
Okay. So part of the operating system is we have these things called file systems, which is the code that manages where your files are stored. I'm going to say a file is a named collection of data. Okay. So we have a file, we have a name, we store some data in there, and it goes somewhere. We're able to pull it back, and it's like, where did it go? Where was it? Kind of thing. So in order to run a program, the CLI needs to know where it is. It's what we call a path. Okay, a path in the file system from wherever the CLI's notion of its current place, its current working directory, I'll call it, or current directory, where it is in the file system, and how to get to the file we're trying to access. So it needs to know where some of those programs are, like Python, so that I can just type in Py or Python or something over here without having to give the full path to it. And that is because it's part of the environment. In the environment, there's a key called Python in the path to where it is.
Okay.
Let's see. I am, actually, maybe we'll do it this way. If I come over here to Windows and I said env, so I start to type out environment, and it says edit the system environment variables. Now be careful doing this, you can mess things up, but for demonstration purposes, I'm going to come in here and it says, okay, computer name and all this kind of stuff. And then down here is environment variables. So if I click on that, I can see that there are user environment variables and then system environment variables. The system ones all users get. The user environment variables are per user. So even though most of the time we only have one user on our Windows computers, we can have more than one user for the computer, kind of thing like that, and everybody can have their own environment. But what we're seeing in here is there's the variable name, the environment variable name, and the value, and all of these values are paths. Like C:, there's my first primary storage device, / to get to the root, and then there must be a folder called users from there, and a folder called Joe, subfolder in there, and a subfolder called OneDrive in there. If I was to go over to my GUI, Windows Explorer and said, okay, here's my hard drive. And sure enough,
Now,
there's a
what is
full
a GUI?
good point. Graphical user interface. So as opposed to our CLI, which is a command line interface or a text user interface where we type in commands, a GUI gives us visual things like these icons and pictures and responds to events like the movement or clicking of a mouse or maybe a touch screen.
Okay.
So I'm in my hard drive here, and sure enough, I see that there is a folder here called users. Let me come back here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And every Windows system will have this one. Some of the others
Yes.
vary, but there's a few that we can count on. Okay. Anyhow, there's users, and according to this path over here, that within users there must be a subfolder called Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And sure enough, yep, there it is.
Yep.
And so inside of that folder must be another folder called OneDrive, and we can navigate around that way.
Mm-hmm.
If there's another one called how much I don't know how much time you have. Am I keeping you from anything?
No, I'm at work right now, but nobody's in here with me, so it's kind of a relaxed kind of a day. I do remember, so when a couple years ago, when we first got computers in our house, I can remember when we each had to log in. Uh, we had to choose our username and log into our own path, and then we each had our own set of folders with the destination, with all of this, the location and the different subfolders and all of that. I still, it sounds horrible for me to be so clueless in here and say I used to help people at work with this kind of stuff, because I feel like an infant with these kids in this class that know all that you're talking about, and I'm like, I'm lost because I don't know the terminology, and it's funny because I grew up with DOS prompt in school, but I mean, I was in kindergarten because it was brand new. So it's not like I was taught how to manage it and how to grow from that.
Mhm.
I was just kind of, I grew up with the technology as it came out, but I was young and wasn't, learning what all the great things you can do with it. So this all looks familiar to me. This all makes sense to me, what we're doing right now,
Good. Good.
thankfully.
Um, okay. So yeah, I'll stop there for now unless you want to go further with that. But
I'm listening. I'm excited that I actually know what you're talking about right now.
you do, and it's good. See, it's good you had that experience, and that's kind of what I was saying earlier about the timing and the ebb and flow. Like now, people just tend not to know much about the computer because they don't need to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
They make
5 or
it
10,
so user friendly and easy.
yeah. But in the earlier days, if you wanted to use a computer, you had to learn something about it just to be able to use
Yeah.
it. Um,
And how to work the prompt and what the commands were, that because you can't just type command. It was like CMMD or something like you had to know exactly what characters to put in and what sequence and all the functions and all that stuff, and how to type run or whatever and change out the floppy drive. And thankfully we don't have to do all that, but I remember doing that. But I don't remember any of the commands anymore. Like, is there a list of how like what commands we're supposed to use, and
oh,
like a
well,
command directory or?
well, I hesitate when you said commands that you're supposed to use. I won't say that. What I will say is, like, I'm in PowerShell here. If I type help, um, it comes back and says, okay, there's these various topics here. It pages it one screen full at a time. And I got to remember myself now. Examples. Help. Help. Yeah, so it's giving me some of the commands. Well, that's all the same command variations for get help. I just hit a Q for quit to get out of the pager. Help. commands. It's thinking. It's thinking. Um, I'll have to find. I don't. I don't know what it is myself right now. But what I will do is I'll go back to Windows and say CMD, which brings up the DOS prompt, if you will, the modern inflated version of DOS. It's a command line interpreter. If I do help here, then it shows me a list of commands.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I'm sure when you look at that list, some of those will come flooding back to you. You know, some might seem familiar, but then there's others that you may have never used. And so that's the real answer, I think, to your question of is when it comes to like commands that I need to know. Well, there's a ton of them. The way I look at it is you need to know the ones that you use. And if you use them often enough, you will know them. If you don't use them often, then you didn't use them, so you didn't really need to know it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, again, this is all CMD's list of commands. PowerShell has a list of built-in commands. It might be it's help built-ins, but and then it's also extensible. So the PowerShell way of thinking about things is a verb and a noun, like get help, and then you could do like set help and things like that.
Okay.
What was I gonna, oh, so if I type in Python alone with no other characters on the command line, it enters into Python interactive mode. So I get a prompt, and this is now the Python prompt.
So now
If
we're
I type-
technically working in Python, or is it like a,
Yeah.
okay.
Let's try help. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I feel like I'm skipping over a lot of stuff, but we now have the Python interpreter running. So before I had the PowerShell interpreter running. And in fact, if I say exit, oh wait, I'm in help. Quit. Oh, and it's Python. If I say quit, so when I said help, it entered.
Now you're back in Python.
It gave me the help prompt. When I said quit from there, I got back to the Python prompt.
Because you quit help inside of Python.
Yep. And if I now say quit again, I'm quitting the Python interpreter and I'm back to the PowerShell interpreter.
Okay.
And for the sake of completeness,
yes, PowerShell.
PowerShell doesn't use quit, but it uses exit. And if I type exit there, I close the PowerShell interpreter.
Okay.
But if I come back here to Python, this is where we need to learn some of those commands. But the one we saw already was if I say print.
You don't have to type Python, you just type Py because that's the like program extension kind of a thing.
On my system, I have Py as a shortcut to Python. You may or may
You had to put that in?
What's that?
Did you put that in so that it would recognize that, or is that a standard?
I don't think it's standard. I probably did it. I'm trying to remember.
Okay.
Because it's one of the things I do. Yeah, it's what we call an alias. It may be there, may not be there. In fact, on some systems, I think maybe on like Macs, you still actually need to type Python 3. Even though, gosh, there's a long history behind the versions of Python kind of thing, but I'll save that for another day. So I'm typing in print, open parentheses, and then I can type in whatever characters I want. I just need to close the parentheses, close the quotes, close the parentheses, um, and it executed it right here.
So when let me open that up again. Where was that? Oh, on Joe's TA, when it says write a Python script to display, that's literally what you have up right now. That's what you want, and then just save that to show that we did that, or are we saving that and then going back in and allowing it to print and showing you that we made it do what we wanted it to do?
No,
Because I'm not sure what to submit.
That's okay. I am trying to show that right now I'm running the Python program in its interactive mode. Okay, so that's why I get the Python prompt, and I can type in some Python code. When I hit enter, it will interpret it. It'll translate it to the machine code, execute it, and then bring back the prompt. What we can do, so that's interactive mode. Once we learn some of these commands, then what we can do is pre-plan. We can type these commands into a file, into a text file, and tell Python, hey, go read that entire file line by line, as if I was sitting there typing it in. Okay, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna say, okay, so I got my prompt back. So now I'm gonna say print one, and we'll have to deal with single quotes and double quotes someday, but don't worry about that too much right now. But I say print one, and it does that. And if I said, okay, print two, it does that. But it only runs one command, and then it's waiting for me to type in the next one. What I'm suggesting is that we could come over here. Oh, my editor. To a text file that I created. And I can think, well, okay, after I print hello world, I want to print one.
What program is that?
The editor I'm using is called Sublime Text.
So that's what we should be using for that.
I don't.
Well, you said, yeah.
I like this program because it's an editor. It's a good, solid editor that doesn't do a whole lot of other kinds of things. It's not an IDE, and I like standalone programs that do one thing and do it well, kind of thing. Someone mentioned. Actually, let me do this. If I come back over here, and I'll say. Well, I'll start with Sublime Text. So here's the website. Here's the editor, and you can download it. The one unknown, I don't know if it's annoying. The one thing about Sublime Text is you can use it freely forever, but if you don't buy it, every 10 or so times you save, it'll have a little pop-up saying, you could support us. So that's one option. But the other option that Dana mentioned is Notepad++. So it's notepad-plus-plus.org. You go there. Again, fairly simple editor. It does have some other features built into it, but this one is free to download, free to use, with nothing getting in your face.
Okay. All right.
I would probably recommend one of those. And of course, you could always they mentioned VS Code. So VS Code, Visual Studio Code. And you can come in here and you can download this. This is a full IDE. In fact, now, they've even got AI in there.
And that also has the line numbers.
Yeah. So all these programs that I'm showing you have line numbers.
Yeah,
Like that is by far the most important thing
Mhm.
that we need. I mean, and you can actually download, install all of them, and try them.
Mhm.
I think what you'll find is that Notepad++ and Sublime Text are pretty straightforward. You download them, you install them, you got yourself an editor, you're ready to go. Visual Studio Code has a lot more to it. So there's more things to set up and more things to get in the way, and so forth. They're all powerful once you learn them, but initially you might find it overwhelming.
Okay.
So at any rate, then what I'm going to do is say, okay, I'm over here in my editor now, whichever editor I'm using,
Mhm.
and I'm thinking ahead as to what I want to do. Like, okay, after I print hello world and after I print one, then I want to print I don't know, bye. And then I save that. So I just hit Control S. Same thing as going up to File, Save kind of thing. You okay with keyboard shortcuts?
I love keyboard shortcuts. I'm sorry,
okay, cool.
I do have to answer the phone though.
Do you need to go all together or? Yes. Well, I don't know how long you're going to be on the phone. So what I will do is I just saved that, and I saved it into that folder that I was looking at earlier. That's CSCS1240F26 folder from the root of my hard drive. So over here, I'm going to quit out of Python interactively. I'm going to change directory to that directory where I have this new text document.py. I'll do an ls or a dir for directory. They do the same thing. They show us a listing of the contents there. But now I'm going to say pi, and instead of hitting enter and entering interactive mode, I'm going to give it that file name. And error message, we'll deal with those. That was the quoting thing I was talking about earlier. So I'm going to need to quote this because of that space in there. And once I do, now Python went out and read this file line by line, executing each line without my having to be there and type them in. This is what we refer to as a script. Think of it like a movie script or a play script, where we think ahead of time what we want to say, what we want to happen, kind of thing. Write them out, and then during the performance, those actions are carried out. So to address your question, then this is what we're going to be doing: is we're going to be creating a file. You're going to put your code in there. You're going to save that file, and then you're going to upload that file to my server. It will then analyze it and tell you whether it's happy about it or not. So I have no way of knowing whether you are using Python interactively or not.
I'm back, sorry.
No problem. No problem. I wasn't sure how long you're going to be, so I went ahead and talked about a few things. But you know what? I'll just do it again as well. So, what was the last thing I said before you had to go?
Print hello world.
Okay. So I'm over here in my text editor, and I said, okay, I want to print hello world. And then, after that, I want to print 1. What do I want to do happen after that? Oh, I want to print by. So I'm entering these lines, these Python statements, one at a time in order into this file, and then I hit Control S to save that. Now, when I come over to my command line interpreter and I'm making sure that I'm in the same directory as that file. So this is where I created that file folder. I created that folder called CSCS1240F26.
Can I ask a question real quick?
What's that?
Can I ask a question real quick? When you
Oh,
hit
absolutely.
when you hit Control S to save, are you changing it to .py then, or do you not care that it pulls up in Python, or how do you?
I did it when I created it. There's a dozen different ways to do this. I
Mhm.
think what I did before was I was in my GUI, Windows Explorer. Oops, right class there. And I right clicked and said new text document. But
It automatically saves it as a text, right? It won't save it as a Python file. Am I using the wrong terms? I'm looking at the face.
I should probably just say yes. Because
Short answer.
you're right, but it's gonna just little details. All of our code files, and this deals with most languages. Again, C, C++, Python, Sharp, C Sharp, Java, whatever. The files are plain text files. The data
Okay.
in the files, the data that the interpreter or compiler is going to use is plain text.
Okay.
Now, what Python expects, we can override this, but Python expects the file name extension at the end of the file to be .py. So I changed my Windows Explorer. When I said create a text document, it automatically gave it the extension of txt.
Yes.
So I went in and I changed that to be py instead of text.
Is that to make it so that Python can read it easier when you tell it to pull out that information?
Essentially. I mean, the important thing here is I am not changing the contents of the file. This is
Right.
purely the name.
hmm
So it doesn't affect any of the contents of the file, only the name. And do file name extensions mean something to you? When I use
Yes,
that
because
term?
I convert a lot of my Word documents to PDFs when I send them to make it easier to send them and so that nobody can change my text when I send it. So I work a lot with the extensions.
Okay. And if I talk about file associations?
I would need a definition to
Okay.
understand, to say if I understand that or not.
So part of the reason for the file name extensions is so
Mhm.
that different extensions can be associated with different programs.
Okay, yes.
So when you call your file something.pdf, then that is associated with your PDF reader or writer program.
Yes.
Your TXT extension is associated with whatever editor you tell it, Notepad or WordPad by default, but then I've changed it to default to Sublime Text as my default editor. So by giving it the Py extension, that is associated with Python,
Okay.
the Python program. So yeah, so again, I can call it whatever I want. That is independent of the contents that are in there. And when I come over to my command line interpreter then, let's see, I think what I did was I said, okay, I wanted to make sure, first of all, the current working directory for the CLI, for the command line interpreter. So do you remember from DOS days of working directories or current directories?
It sounds familiar.
Okay, we can elaborate on it. But essentially, the CLI is based on files. Everything it does essentially is based upon files and a file system. And so it has to have some notion of where it is at all times.
hmm
That's part of this path thing I was talking about. So there's some path into the file system, into your files and folders. of where it thinks it is currently. And that's what it shows you in the prompt often here. It says, okay, this is the current directory. To make my life a little bit easier and make your life a little bit easier at the moment, I am making sure that my current directory here is the same as the directory where I stored that file.
Mhm.
And you can type dir or ls. Either one shows you a directory listing, and I can see that, okay, there indeed is
So
that.
ls is list.
Short for list, yes.
Just typing this down. So you had to type that that location, the on your C drive. You typed power
Yeah, when you
PowerShell
start up,
up and you typed in C semicolon backslash and then your actual destination folder that you created for this class.
right, because when you start up PowerShell,
Mm-hmm.
let's see if I came over here to Windows, and I said power, and there's Windows PowerShell. When you start it up, it's going to start in some default directory. Okay,
Yes.
and it'll most likely be C:\users, that users directory we were talking about a few minutes ago, and then whatever the username is you're logged in as. So that's where it tends to start by default. Great. If I type in Pi, it'll start Python because of those environment variables. So it knew where to find the Python program and it started it. But the current working directory is in my user folder for Windows. And I'm going to quit out of here. What I want to do, and again, this is where you decide how you want to organize things, but wherever you decide to create a folder for this course, and for me, I created
I'm
that
gonna make it as
as
simple as possible. It'll be right inside my C drive like that for sure.
oh, okay, yeah. So since I did that, I'm going to say cd, again, I'm in PowerShell, change directory to slash CSCS1240F26, whatever the name is. Okay. That is now the current directory.
Did you hit CD space?
Yes. You do need a space after between the command and the parameters, the arguments rather.
So that it knows it's a separate function
Exactly.
kind of a thing? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, we'll elaborate on the technicalities of, arguments and parameters and switches and options and stuff, but
Then the
yeah, just
backslash at the end tells it that that's the end of the folder name that you're looking for?
yes, if I end a path with a slash character, that signifies that it's a folder. You can actually skip it and it'll work as well.
Okay.
The other thing that happened there, you might have caught, is forward slashes and backslashes. And PowerShell is pretty good about figuring out which one it should use.
Well, that's nice because I might not figure out what I want to use.
Well, so remember when I said, oh, you can type dir or ls? And dir was the good old command from DOS to
Yes.
show the directory contents.
Directory,
ls
yes.
is the default command in a Unix type environment.
Okay. So it uses both because of the preference that people have used over the years.
Yeah, remember, I think we had a discussion the other day about GNU Linux. And so Unix was one of the early operating systems that was very popular. It was proprietary. So the Unix developers thought their code was incredibly important. You had to license it and all that stuff. And that's actually why Linus Torvalds developed Linux as an alternative to that.
Okay.
Again, I don't know how much time you have and how much you want me to elaborate on that. But
Boy, I really do wish I had all day. I don't have all day, but I really do wish I could just pick your brain all day because I'm really interested in all this.
We've got time. We've got there's more days coming. So I'll save that story. And basically say that GNU Linux, what people just call Linux, unfortunately, is Unix-like. Okay.
Okay.
And so a lot of the stuff in GNU Linux is derived from Unix, or
So
I
it's
should
like
say
close
based
enough
on
to it that people would understand it, but different enough so that they're not infringing on any kind of copyright or anything.
Yes, yes. So ls was the command from Unix days to list the contents of a directory.
Okay.
Now, what's been happening is so Windows and Unix, were very, very different. Okay. Microsoft has been kind of merging some of the Unix stuff into Windows. So PowerShell understands some basic Unix commands as well as DOS commands, essentially.
Okay.
So that's why I can use dir, the DOS version of show me the contents of the directory, or ls, the Unix version of it.
Okay.
And both do the same thing.
Helpful.
Oh, and then that's why I was saying that with this idea of a path, when we type out the files and folders in one folder to another folder to another folder, we need some way to separate them. We don't use a space. Instead, what we use is a slash. But historically, Microsoft always used a backslash as what we call the path separator character. Unix used a forward slash. Is the top of it tipping forward or is it tipping backward? I get my hand over
So
there.
you're not going to get an error if I type if I want to go into like 3 different subfolders in my main folder here, and I type CSCS1240F26 and I do backslash deb /file.
Yep.
It's still going to recognize that just means it's a separator in a different file subfolder.
Yes. PowerShell will figure that out.
Oh, thank heavens.
Not all CLIs do. Okay. Like if you're in GNU Linux, it does not appreciate backslashes.
Okay. And I just get error messages all over my screen and frustration. So thank you for using this.
So yeah, and that character cannot be used in a name. So it's a special character for separate.
Yeah, you can't even. I don't even think I can save a folder with that character in it because
it won't let you. No.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, if I simply type in pi and hit enter, it takes me in their interactive mode. But if I quit out of that and I type pi space.
So you have to type quit with parenthesis brackets?
I'm going to say yes. Newer versions might not still require it. And that's because technically it is a function.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. Well, here, I'll do it. So if I just type quit, that worked as well.
Oh, okay.
It depends on the version of Python. It's a newer thing. It used to require the parentheses. Newer versions allow either one.
And when I uploaded Python just this morning, it did say, this is not the newest version. Do you want to upload the newest version? And I did hit yes. Okay. So I wonder, I'll have to play around with that then.
Notice when I went in interactive mode, it told me I'm running Python 3.13.7. That's the version number. That's what I'm running. For what we are doing right now, it won't matter. As long as that's a 3 and not a 2. But it won't be. In other words, you might have a 3.8 or a 3.9 or something like that. That's fine. It won't matter for what we're doing right now. It will later on. But for now, we're good. So again, instead of getting in interactive mode, I'm going to type pi space and then a path to that file. Now, if I start typing the name like new and I hit the tab key, it'll autocomplete.
Okay.
So when you hit the tab key, it goes out and it looks for something that starts with that pattern and says, oh, there's new. And notice in this case, it also used backslashes. it put that in quotes because of the space. And it also put this dot in here that we'll talk about at some point. But the key is when I hit enter now, instead of getting the Python interactive prompt, it went out, it read this file in, and treated each one of these lines as if I had typed them in at the interactive prompt,
Okay.
all in one fell swoop. It ran the script.
So you don't have to open the folder first and then type it all back in again. You can type in the folder and what document you want it to read.
In fact, another trick you can do is your up arrow. So your CLI keeps a command line history. So I just hit my up arrow to bring back the last command, and I can run it again.
Okay.
Yeah. Without ever having to edit the file and type stuff in.
Okay.
Because again, that's what you're going to upload this file to my server, and my server is going to run it as if you were typing it in, or as if you were running it on your machine. And it's going to run my version and your version and compare the results.
Okay. So what was the difference between the single quotation and the double quotation? Another class?
It depends on the environment. Okay. Historically, we tended to use double quotes around strings or sequences of characters. And then we started using single quotes. And so now a lot of things like Python will use either one, but they have to match.
Just like forward slash and backslash. So unlike forward slash and backslash, I can't start it with a single quote and end with a double quote.
Correct. I think you can't start it with one and then the other.
Okay.
End with one. Now, what you can do though is you can nest or embed one inside the other.
Okay.
Which is actually fairly useful because suppose I wanted to come back here and say I wanted to print something like "Hello, you," and I wanted I wanted to quote. I actually want the quotes to print.
Okay.
Do you see what the problem?
Why is you white?
That's syntax highlighting. What you'll notice, Sublime Text is making
All the
some
different
things blue
colors.
and some things green.
Yes. So the computer can read its own program?
Or
make it easier for us.
Your editor is a program, like any other program,
Mm-hmm.
and newer editors are aware of syntax of various languages. Okay. So because the file is called something.py, it says, I'm going to treat this as if it was syntax for the Python language. And because print is what we call a built-in keyword vocabulary of the language. No, it's not a keyword, it's a function. But anyhow, it's built into the language. It highlighted it blue. When I put quotes around something, a string of characters, it made that green to let me know that this is a literal string of characters. Mm-hmm. But you'll notice like the parentheses, which are operators, excuse me, it coded white.
So why did it quote you white if you is not an operator?
But it is. Or at least Python is going to think it is.
But it's still going to print you in quotations when it actually prints that hello you world. It's not going to print it. Nope. What's it going to do then?
Because what's going to happen is it's going to see this first opening quote. Mm-hmm. And it's going to come along. Okay, character, space, no problem there. this quote will close the first one.
Oh, okay. So
That
it'll
means
print
the
hello. So you is just kind of out there.
right. That's hanging in between the two. So space world, that's a string.
Probably
Sequence of
doesn't know what to
characters.
do with it though, because you isn't really a command like print.
Ah, perfect. So when I come back over here and I run this now,
Gonna be like, what do you want to do with it? Yeah, okay. Error.
yes. So the pattern here that we're used to is it tells me the file that it was in where the error occurred, because
And what
our
line it
solutions
is.
will ultimately have more than one file. It tells me the file I'm in, the line number of where it occurred, and then it prints out the line itself, go ahead and displays that. And then it even puts the carets under where it thinks the error is.
Okay.
Now, I have to say that this, where it thinks the error is not always 100% correct, because something earlier could have caused the error. But
then it doesn't continue with line 2 and 3. It just stops at the error.
right.
Okay.
And then and then it says syntax error. So there was something in the sequence of the characters that it received that didn't fit its known patterns. And it says invalid syntax. And then it tries to give you a hint. It says, oh, perhaps you forgot a comma.
So if you put single quotes around you, is that what's going to make the you print?
Yes. You got the idea.
Okay. Oh, and now it's green because it's no longer its own code and the double quotes didn't end there. Okay.
Right. And because I put single quotes there, it actually literally printed the single quotes
Okay.
because they were inside
And if
the
you
double.
did the opposite, would that work as well? So if you
Yes.
started with a single quote and had the double quotes in the middle, it would print as a double quote in the middle?
Exactly.
Okay. Hey, I figured something out.
It's that logic
Don't
thing.
for
Yeah,
me
see?
yet, Joe. It is the logic, yes. I can wrap my brain around it. Okay. And then it's the file. So this is pulling the file that was created over in the, oh, that's on another page. I'm writing a lot of notes here. So on your subline text program, that's where it's pulling the information from into the PowerShell that you've created, you've opened Python in. So is it the file from the subline text program that I'm uploading into your Joe's TA?
Yes.
Okay. I think I can do my homework now, Joe. Stay tuned, but I think I can.
Cool.
All right. See, it only took you an extra hour. Thank you for your patience.
That was fun. I do have another class at 10:30 though, so I will have to,
Yes, I will let you go.
stop at
Thank
some
you
point.
so much for taking the extra time to help me out and to let me wrap my brain around this. I appreciate you, and hopefully I can get that done today then.
Okay. Well, all I ask is give it a try.
Sure.
If it works, great. You can even post a message celebrating. But if it doesn't work, post a message and we'll figure it out.
Okay, if you see balloons, you'll know it works, and I will see you in an hour, actually, for my, 2 hours for my next class.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Joe.
Sure.
Bye.